From the family grocery hauler to fire-breathing racing engines, the one name you need to know is USA Motor and Machine, located at 51 Cleveland Avenue in Nashville, Tennessee. Give them a call at 615-726-3725 or at usamotorandmachine.com. Jeff Meeks and Chris Austin invite you to watch your favorite sports event at the Batter's Box at 43 Hermitage Avenue in Nashville, Tennessee. The Batter's Box offers shuttle service to all Titans home games. It's a great place for friends to gather for the game and after the game. So check out the Batter's Box Bar and Grill, and thanks again for sponsoring the show.
And welcome back, everybody, to Political Soup. Crom Carmichael, Joe Williams, glad to have you along with us. Crom, we promised the folks a lightning round, so I need quick answers.
Okay.
Sometimes you and I are not real good at quick answers.
Well, we'll do the best we can.
We're too busy explaining the facts. All right, let's talk about the tax code.
Well, Obama said we need to simplify the tax code.
Amen.
He made the statement. Okay, now this is right after he made the statement that we need to increase taxes on the rich 3 different ways. But then he said we need to simplify the tax code. Then a couple paragraphs later, he says, now we need to encourage small business to hire people by offering them different kinds of credits. And then we need to, then this one's a good one. He says, through tax credits, grants, and better loans, we have made college more affordable for millions of students. Well, now he wants to change that by setting up what he calls a federal college scoreboard. Now, think about that for a second. Now you're going to have a federal college scoreboard ranking colleges as to what? And what department will do that? How many bureaucrats will be necessary? And how will they do it?
So we did that through the BCS.
Well, we're not talking sports. That actually works, except that they didn't get the right. Yeah, I was born in South Bend. They didn't get the right 2 teams in the championship game this year. But when you look at everything he does, he then says, tonight I propose working with the states to make high-quality preschool available for every child in America, as if that's a brand new idea. Head Start is a 30-year-old program that failed.
Wait a minute. Now, whoa.
Now, wait a minute. Let's be clear about something. Were you a beneficiary of Head Start?
Yes, I was.
Okay. That doesn't mean that it has to fail for everybody.
Okay.
But it means that if you put 1 million kids through Head Start, and by the 4th grade, they're no better off educationally than 1 million kids were prior to then, I'm not questioning whether or not some people benefited, although we'd never know whether you benefited or not because you might have achieved the same result anyway. That's possible. But what you have to do with a program that extends over 1 million people is you have to look and see, did those 1 million people, on average, benefit by spending those billions and billions of dollars? And the answer is, emphatically, no. They didn't change. By the time they were in the 4th grade, they were just in the same position as kids who were not in Head Start at exactly the same time.
Okay, my argument there would be, I think you've also got to look at what was available to them educationally from 1st through the 4th grade testing.
Well, I
think that's got to be part of it.
That may be.
Maybe the others had great teachers that caught them up.
Well, maybe so. But the point is that the president wasn't talking about how we're going to improve education from here all the way through college.
Right.
He was talking about a massive program. Now remember, this is right after he said, I'm not going to increase the deficit by a dime.
Right.
He's talking about a massive program where he says, tonight I propose working with states to make high quality preschool available to every child in America. How do you do that for nothing? You can't.
Well,
and then they jump to their feet. The Congress jumped to their feet.
What I think happens here is it becomes almost child care.
Childish.
Well, child care instead of child education. And sometimes that happens. And I know in particular cases that was the only option. But this was a good thing. Sometimes this is a good thing.
I'm not saying that it's always a bad thing.
Right.
But when you're going to say, I'm going to do this and it's not going to cost anything and it's going to benefit every child?
No.
I mean, you can't do, let me say this. If the president had said last night, tonight I propose that as of tomorrow morning, every American have $1 million in their bank account, do you think the people might say, that's kind of stupid, that's not possible? Would you think they would? Yes. Even George Stephanopoulos might agree that's not possible. These things are are just as impossible as saying every American as of tomorrow morning is going to have $1 million. You cannot have a program of early education for every child in America at the same time you're claiming it's not going to cost a dime.
Now there's one. Okay, we're good there.
And he said, I'm going to repeat myself.
Yeah.
That's what he said early on. Let me repeat myself. This is not going to rate none of my proposals. Then he says this. Then he's got another one over here where he's going to repair 70,000 bridges. We've got this infrastructure program. I'll find it here in just a second. But I mean,
Right.
you go through.
Is that the Fix It First program?
That was the Fix It First program.
Fix It First is the bridges.
Yeah, he's going to have and he's going to build infrastructure and pipelines. All of these in partnerships. Now, please understand.
Pipelines. He can't approve the one that's sitting there now.
He wouldn't approve the pipeline that was going to be paid for privately.
Right.
Didn't want a penny of government funding. But no, he wants partnerships. And so when you look at it, he wants the government to be responsible for everything. And you know, there was a country that tried that. They called it the Soviet Union. And they did, and I'm not saying that therefore he's a communist. What I'm saying is it's buffoonery to believe that something as complex as the U.S. economy that serves so many people with so many different interests in what they want to spend their money on at any given time, that you can have some central planning that ends up resulting in an improved economy.
You wind up with a bridge that goes nowhere.
Yeah.
Second one.
70,000 of them.
Energy Security Trust.
Yeah. What he says is we're going to tax energy. Well, if you tax energy, who pays the tax?
I'm taxed on energy now.
Yeah, well, you get to pay more. He wants to set up an energy tax on the energy that's affordable. That would be fossil fuels.
Right.
That would be oil.
Right.
It'd be gas, gasoline. It'd be coal. Be these types of things. He wants to tax that, and then he wants to then spend it on what he calls renewables. That was Solyndra. That would be one example. Now let me give you one example of something that just is amazing to me. Wind power. Okay? The wind power plants that we have today kill 440,000 birds a year, including dozens of bald eagles and golden eagles. Do you know that bald eagles and golden eagles
Are protected.
They're protected. If you're a farmer and you inadvertently, if you think you're shooting a vulture, maybe you don't have very good eyesight, and you shoot an eagle,
It's a fine.
It's a fine, and you go to jail.
Yeah.
But if you're running a wind farm, you can actually apply to the federal government for a permit to kill eagles. You can actually apply for that. Now, so what does the Audubon Society do? Because it's liberal, it just kind of turns its head. It might send a letter every so often saying, you know, I'm not sure that these wind farms are such a good idea because they're killing all of our birds and they're killing our eagles and some of our other endangered species. And so so he wants to spend more money on more wind farms. So what does he want? Is his goal to kill 1 million birds a year? I don't know.
Well,
does he want to eradicate the eagle population? Who knows?
In my my business, that's one of the things that I worry about sometimes, because when you talk about renewable energy, the United States EPA lists incinerators for solid waste to recover the energy to create electricity as a renewable source. That's one side of the EPA.
Okay.
And it is a more preferred method than landfilling. However, the clean air side makes it virtually impossible to financially build and operate. And the ones that are operating, their cost per ton is multipliers over landfilling. Those kind of mixed signals is what drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Out of the same department.
Well, it may not be exactly the same department, because you have one department up there that tells you can't do this, and then you have another department that tells you can't do that, and then if you're trying to comply with both of them, the only thing the garbage can do is pile up.
Ding, ding.
Because you can't bury it, you can't burn it.
Immigration.
Well, that was an interesting subject, because the president says we need to have immigration reform. Now, a couple of shows ago, we talked about the FBI referring 76,000 cases to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms,
Right.
for them to investigate whether or not any of these 76,000 people should not be able to buy a gun. Now, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms prosecuted 44. out of 76,000, 44. Now, and the reason I say that is this. E-Verify is a big part of this immigration program to force employers to determine whether or not somebody's here illegally.
Right.
14% of the time, it's incorrect. And if you find out that somebody is if an American citizen is improperly verified as not being legal, you can't hire them. Now this is the same government, by the way. What I'm saying is that it will become a giant. It takes the mess that we have now with immigration, and it explodes it into 14% of the working population over time, and so that would be a terrible idea. And putting the burden on employers is a bad idea. Solving the immigration problem is pretty simple: secure the border, a guest worker program, and green cards for people. And in this case, the president says you graduate from college with a graduate degree or a degree in mathematics or science, you get a green card. I'm fine with that. And I'm fine with a guest worker program that includes a background check so that if you're a criminal, you can't get in.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that's interesting about immigration is that under our current law, the people who are allowed to become citizens first are the relatives of current immigrants.
Right.
Well, a relative of a current immigrant may or may not be able to hold a good job or do it. In other words, it's literally a lottery based on birth.
Sure.
And the immigration policy ought to be that we want to attract people who want to come here, work hard, and improve their lot in life.
All right.
And it's not working. It doesn't work that way.
Next topic.
Yeah.
Gun control. All these people deserve a vote. I wonder why the border agents who were killed by automatic weapons that the administration sent to Mexico don't deserve a vote.
Well, forget the vote on those. They just deserve a report. They deserve to know what happened. The families of those agents need to know why their loved ones were mowed down by guns that the Obama administration essentially let be run over the border to the drug lords. But that's not even, to me, the point on gun control is this. Even Vice President Biden said that a national database on a background check won't keep mentally ill people from killing people. All right? Well, if he admits that and acknowledges that, then what's the vote for?
Yeah.
Is the vote to take away guns? Australia, by the way, took away guns.
Yeah, I saw that.
And they have a disaster.
In the first 6 months after the government in Australia required homeowners or general citizens to turn in their guns, armed robberies went up 69%, and they started having what they didn't know what to call it, and finally called it home invasion. They finally found a term for it. But I mean, just astronomical.
And so gun control, first of all, everybody acknowledges that if you tried to have gun control, the criminals would keep their guns. And by the way, the number of gun deaths in Australia, the number of armed robberies, has gone up.
Yeah, 69%.
Since you're talking about home invasions.
No,
armed
robberies went up. And home invasions were something they'd never had before.
Okay, all right.
They didn't know what they were, and you know, as even the chief of police was saying in one location, he said, they're not afraid anymore.
Right.
They're not afraid to go into a house anymore because they know they don't got a gun.
Sure. Hooligans will just bust into the house, steal anything they want, beat up the people there, and leave.
Exactly.
And they don't have to worry about whether or not they have guns for self-protection. And so this is a liberty issue. It's really at the core of our culture, and I know it's at the core of our culture because it's the Second Amendment in the Bill of Rights. And so gun ownership and the right to self-protection and the right to protection against your government. The Second Amendment was there primarily for that reason then, because we had just fought the British. Do you think we would have beaten the British if we had gun control?
No.
If Americans
been able to do,
if Americans didn't have gun control, would we have beaten the British? Do you think the 6 million Jews who were killed by Hitler would have been better off had they had guns? Do you think they would have? They would have had a fighting chance. And so gun control is a really bad idea. And even the vice president says, even if we have this national database and federal background checks, mentally ill people will still do this. So what's the point?
Last two parts, 2 minutes, one each. Marco Rubio.
Well, Marco Rubio gave an excellent response, but his taking a sip of, I guess, water or whatever bottled water, taking a sip of water had the liberals in the media going crazy.
Now, didn't understand that.
They they thought, Wolf Blitzer now says it was a joke, but he kept talking about it, did this ruin his political career? Did this ruin his political future? George Stephanopoulos worries about it. All these different people worry about it. Now, the reason they worried about it is his speech was dead on the money. The things he said mattered. They were important. It was a good response. They had no response. So what they did was attack the bottle of water.
Last item, following along with that, if taking a drink of water kills your political career, what about Tennessee Congressman Steve Cohen from the Memphis area, who actually had a couple of tweets with a 20 to 24-year-old, I've forgotten the exact age, very attractive co-ed, who started the string by saying, he tweeted him, "Wow, I just saw you on TV." So should this is this the death nail in his political career?
No, Steve is my age. He and I went to college together. He's my age. He's single, so he can do what he wants to. But let me say this: he made better use of his time than anybody else sitting in that audience.
I say these tweets happened while he was listening, supposedly, or paying attention.
No, he wasn't paying attention. Well, that's why I say he was using his time better than listening.
Yeah, my other response to that is kind of like yours. So what?
Oh.
He sent a tweet. Big deal.
Right.
Give the man a break.
Right.
You know what? This may be the only time my man Crom Carmichael is giving a liberal a break. I am so proud of you.
Well, thank you.
I think that's probably the place we need to end this.
Here we go.
Political Soup for this week is done. We'll see you next time. For Crom Carmichael, I'm Joe Williams. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you then.